The exact sales framework that I personally use to close 2 to 3 new clients every single week, on ranging anywhere from an $1,000 to a $2,000 monthly retainer. Now, I started this journey around November last year, so I've been at it for around 9-10 months now. I've seen myself level up in sales, and I really want to share this because this is what I've came to the conclusion as of now at my current knowledge level as the best way to close clients. So I'm going to break it all down. We're going to go through the script and how I would frame it in a real life situation on a call. Let's do it. Goal number one at the start of any call is always to find out their pain. But before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and run you through something that I do to pre-frame the objections the person on the phone might say. A very common thing that these people will say is, I need to think about it, I need to talk about it with my partner, I don't see the value, the price is too expensive. So if we can pre-frame these things and get them before they even come up, it's going to be a lot easier to handle those objections because they're going to be out of the way. And then it limits and narrows the road down to the easier to overcome objections. So what I usually say at the start of the calls, depending on the warmth of the prospect. Now, if I can tell they're super friendly, super happy, I'll usually say this. If they're like cut to the chase kind of person, then I'll usually skip over this bit, but I'll go. So Lisa, before we get into this conversation, I just have 2 favours to ask you. Is that alright? Great. So at the end of this call, there's a few ways this can go. 1, you feel like this is something that's going to work for you. You like me. Sure, we can set you up and you can get started. Maybe you think I'm an idiot and you don't think it's going to work for you. I just want you to know that there's no pressure. You can say no to me. I promise you it's not going to make me cry in the corner of my office. All I ask, Lisa, is that you don't say, I want to think about it. Because we both know that to think about it means no. I'm sure you've had tons of people come in clinic and say that before, right? Does it sound reasonable that we just end this call on a yes or a no? Can we agree on that? Awesome. Okay, great. And final favour, I promise. And I always like adding humour into this bit because if you don't want to come off too serious on these calls, like every other salesperson, the goal is to remove resistance completely. And then I'll go, okay, great. And final favour, Lisa, I promise. Is there any other partners, spouses, cousins, dogs, uncles, I don't know, anyone at all that helps you make decisions like these? Perfect. Now, the reason I ask this, Lisa, is because the biggest thing for us is alignment. I would hate to get to the end of this call, you be all in, and then us having to repeat the same process with other people who want to make sure they have an understand. And this is where I'll dive into point number 1, which is finding their pain. And the goal here is to find an immediate pain problem they want solved. Now, some of these people will be more open than others. You can just ask them, what problem are you facing? And they'll say, I've tried this, I've tried that, and they'll just start pouring out a bunch of ammunition that you can rack up for the end of the call when you close them, and when you can basically go deeper on their problems and what they've tried. But some people are more closed off. I'm very aware of that. I've had a lot of prospects that are like, I don't have any problems. And I'm going to run you through my rebuttals for that and how you can overcome that now. So I usually just start with, so Lisa, tell me, I mean, what's the reason you're on this call today? What problem are you trying to solve? And if there's a pause and it's awkward, I'll just go ahead and say, I guess the best place to start, Lisa, is like, just give me like a 30,000 foot overview of your business, you know, how you're getting clients. Bring me up to speed and we'll go from there. Some people will start just pouring out and they'll give you a bunch of ammunition that you can rack up and use to ask more questions. But if not, and if you're met with resistance, you can just say, I mean, I guess talk to me about what could be improved then. If you don't have anything that's a big problem, like what's not working at the level that you truly believe it could be? Because regardless if they don't want to admit they've got a problem, whatever they believe isn't working at the level that it could be is the problem. So you've identified the problem, you just have to label it as something else because their ego's probably telling them they don't have any problems. So then we dive straight into step 2, which is just labeling them with the problem. You need to get them to come to terms with the fact that they have a problem. So maybe you just say, so Lisa, it sounds like you're struggling with just getting more clients through the door, right? Would you agree with me on that? Just get them to agree, because instead of saying it and them going like, you want them to say like, yes, I agree with you on that. So just to clarify, Lisa, what is it you're struggling with? Would you agree when I say it's client acquisition, just getting people through the door? Yeah, okay, perfect. Or if they're a bit more resistant and they don't want to admit they've got a problem, an easier way of saying it is, okay, so just so I'm clear, Lisa, the thing you believe is not doing as good as it could be is X, Y, and Z, right? Yeah, okay. So that way you're on the same page with them. You've labelled them with a problem that you can then go deeper on in stage 3, which is probing the pain. What you want to do is just find an issue with what they're doing at the minute. They wouldn't be on that call if they were making as much money as they know they possibly could. If you're a marketer, I mean, you can sell other things, but I assume if you're watching this, you own an SMMA or you do something along the lines of that. Keep in mind you just want to do this a couple of times. You just want to ask a couple of questions. You really want to go deep and just identify 2 or 3 issues. Even if you get one, that's enough. So you want to just recap over everything you just said. So Lisa, you told me client acquisition is the biggest problem for you guys. I know you said that you've tried this, you've tried that, you've tried that. It sounds like it has been for quite a while. So Lisa, run me through what you've tried to help out with that already. Because this isn't something that you just sign up to this call on impulse just this morning and realise this, right? No, I didn't think so. So like this has been going on for a while. So run me through what you've tried throughout that process. And that's when they're going to start to give you the ammunition. They're going to say, I tried this, I tried that, I tried this marketing company and they were really bad and they gave me a terrible experience and they didn't get me results. All you're going to do is just probe deeper. So Lisa, when you say terrible results, like what do you mean exactly? Are we talking about like there was no leads coming in, or the leads were coming in but they just wasn't converting? Can you just tell me a bit more? Okay. So you guys were actually running the ads yourself. They were just giving you the photos and images and videos. Oh, okay. How long's that been going on for? You see how tonality shifts when you start asking different questions. So it goes from like curious tone, like, oh, okay, so you guys were calling the leads. It's like you're curious, right? Instead of just telling them, you shouldn't be doing that. You should have somebody doing that, because every salesperson can do that. The goal here is to ask the questions to make them aware of their own problems without just pinpointing and telling them exactly what their problem is. So you don't just go to them, the marketing agency you worked with was inexperienced and they should have been doing all of the legwork. There's like, well, obviously, right? I'm aware of that, but if you make them aware of the problem by asking them questions, it's like that light bulb moment where they're like, oh, okay. I understand what I did wrong this time. And then maybe you just probe deeper. So just so I can stay organized on my end, when you say you were doing all the videos and you were running the ads, like what exactly do you mean? Was they not helping you all? Okay. And a big thing is here, which I've noted down, is there's a 1-word trick. If you ever hear an emotional word, frustrated, angry, sad, disappointed, just repeat the word back to them and it will probe them to go more into the emotion. You've got to sell them on emotion and logic. It's got to be a mixture of both. If they say, oh, I've just been really disappointed with the results that our current marketing company's goals. Disappointed? Yeah, they did this, they did that, they did this, the communication was bad. Notice how so much information came from just one word. And even if you know the answers to their questions, stop yourself from assuming, because this is as much for them to hear themselves out loud for you. Like, they've got to say it, because it means so much more. And then just widen the gap. So, Lisa, when you first opened your business, I'm sure you had like a grand vision for it, right? I know you've just talked to me about all these things that you're trying to help get to that. I guess my question is, are you as far along the journey as maybe you were hoping you would be? So you're going to widen the gap, because 99% of the time if they're on the call, they're going to say no. And that's where you can start to probe even deeper. And once you've gone through that and you believe you've sold them emotionally, that their situation needs to change, that's where you find the goal. That's them. I mean, let's assume we can help you with getting more people through the door. Things start working. At that point, what's your goal? Where do you ultimately want to be in the next 6 months? And then they're going to start to really think about where they want to go. So you've sold them on the pay and then you sell them on the vision. So you break down the goals. Like, why that goal? I don't mean to be really specific. I just trying to get a gauge at where you're at and see if we can even help you out. So can you tell me a bit more about that? Why is that important to you? Okay, that's where I'll then trickle into the internal urgency, because it's important to clarify why they want to change now. Because if they don't want to change now, then what's the point? You're just wasting your time on a call with somebody that's just going to tell you they need to think about it at the end. So maybe just ask, I'm curious, Lisa, like, why now? Like, why are you on this call now? Why not 6 months from now? Or 6 months ago? It sounds like this has been something you've been wanting to solve. So what changed for you to decide to jump on this call? Then you understand why they want to do it so urgently. Maybe they've got family, they've got bills they need to pay, they've just had a new kid. There's so many things that could have come up that you can use as a leveraging point at the end of the call. And that's where I usually go into the pitch. So I'll just go, I appreciate you sharing all that with me. Definitely helps give me a bit of clarity. Is there anything else that you feel like we haven't covered that I need to know? So you sold them emotionally by this point. If you've really got them to pour down, you took some notes, you've got ammunition you can use at the end for the close. And then you just go, is it cool if I share some insights? Now, you can either get up a pitch deck, or you can just talk about it. Usually, anecdotal stories work best. Selling with stories is huge. I'll give you an example of one that I use. So I often hear that a lot of clinic owners will say, yeah, we used to generate leads before, but nobody was following up with the leads. And I went, Lisa, I guess this is the best way to tell you how important instant and consistent follow-up is. If I was to come to you every day for the next 2 years and say, Lisa, do you want to buy these pair of shoes? You'd probably say no most of the time, right? Yeah, but maybe one of those days you lose your shoes, you get robbed, they get set on fire. The point I'm trying to make here is I've planted that seed, and I'm going to be the first person that comes to the top of your mind when you need a pair of shoes. And it's the exact same thing in your clinic. The clinics that plant the seed long term and are continuously following up are the ones that win. Does that make sense, how that could help out? It breaks a belief. The goal of these anecdotal stories is to break beliefs and change their perspective on things. And then they're like, oh yeah, that kind of does make sense. Like, if I'm just in their face all the time, they're probably going to want to buy from me because I'm going to be top of mind. And finally, once you've gone through the pitch, what you guys do, how you can help them out, you close the deal. A common question that I usually ask before this one is I just go, Lisa, now I've run you through everything that we do and how we can help you with outcome X. Like, where should we go from here? Do you see the value for a start? I just want to know if you think this can help you out. Okay, cool. You see the value. So what specific parts of what we went over do you really feel are going to help you the most, though? Like, I'm curious what you think is going to be best for you. Okay, perfect. The transition is supposed to sound smooth and finesse. It shouldn't sound like, okay, are you ready to pay? And this is usually how I do it. I go, well, Lisa, I don't really have anything else to go over with you. It looks like we covered the basis of what you were looking for in terms of getting people through the door. So, Lisa, let me ask you, would it be totally crazy for us to move forward with that today? Like, would it be crazy to do that? And then they're usually like, no, that's not that doesn't sound too crazy. Maybe if you just go, do you want to pay? It's like the options are yes or no. Would it be totally crazy? It's not totally crazy, no, I see the value. Right, so let's go. And if they're hesitant, which a lot of the time they are going to be hesitant because it's a lot of money if you've already run them through the pricing, I usually just hit them with like best case, worst case. So worst case, you get 5 or 10 patients, break even, and we'll give you all your money back. Best case, you get to desired outcome XYZ 10 times faster. You stop worrying about if this is actually going to work because you've actually put it in place. So you've got 2 options. You go with us or you decide not to, but only one of them is going to get you closer towards your goal. With that in mind, have you heard enough to make a decision? And then that's where you take payment. And then finally, you reinforce the decision. Whatever you decide to put in place with that. Maybe you send a handwritten card over. You have a congratulations call. You send an automated text letting them know to keep an eye out for a card. You give them sales training. You send a personalised video. People decide within the first 48 hours from the point of sale if they would buy from you again. So you need to use that to your advantage. So I hope if you're an SMMA owner, somebody that's into sales, this provided some value to you. If it did, feel free to share it, subscribe, and connect with me on Instagram.